kids! How are ya? It's your Mimi here, and I'm just hanging out. I figured you guys might want to maybe clean out my purse with me. Let's go for it. Of course, I gotta have these in here. I gotta have my tissues in here because, you know, sometimes you just gotta blow your nose and get some boogers, so I'm gonna keep that for sure. Well, as of these days, you know what it's like. You have to wear a mask to go outside because of COVID-19. So my daughter made this for me. So I like to put that on here and there. Where are my glasses at? Oh, they're up here. Ah, well, you know, if they'd have been a snake, they'd have bit me. Oh, you gotta have tweezers. I can't go without them. You know, sometimes I gotta pluck my brows a little bit because they just get kind of crazy there. Grandma brows, you know. Oh, I got my hand sanitizer. That smells nice too. I like that. I've got one of those little things that you put over someone's mouth if they can't breathe, and then you can give them CPR and give them mouth to mouth. So that's nice. What grandma's purse would be complete without having some candy? So I got butterscotch and I got strawberry if you want any. You know, I gotta file my nails sometimes because they get a little bit out of hand. You know, I've gotta have some cinnamon gum. So this is a little silicone straw. If I go get a drink somewhere, straws aren't recyclable, so I use this little booger here all the time. And then you can just fold him right back up and put him in his case. Isn't that handy? That's kind of nifty, isn't it? If y'all want to, we can start maybe a story. I think that might be nice. What do you think? Yeah? You know, it's Storybook Mimi. That's what you guys are going to have to call me now, I'm sure. And it's getting late, I think, so let's just go ahead and start. This story here is called The Frog and the Fly. So let's just jump right on in, shall we?
The Frog and the Fly. The bright sun graced the sky, and the morning became alive with colors. On this day, a young frog swam up a stream in search of a meal. His bulbous eyes spotted a tasty-looking fly sitting on a stone. This meal to be was a young fly living the first of his 3 days of life. The young frog crept towards him. When he got close enough to stick out his long red tongue and snap the fly up, the fly, well, he did something different. "Frog," he asked, "this world is so beautiful, but was it always like this? Were you always a frog?" The young frog did not know what to say. He just wanted to have an innocent meal. How unfair for the meal to make him think! But he couldn't help it. He thought about when he was a pollywog, the feel of the water around his tail, swimming around to explore, learning new things, and then he thought about how quickly it all changed and he became a frog. He thought so much and so hard that he forgot to eat. He went to sleep hungry that night. The next day, when the young frog opened his eyes, the sun was already hanging high in the sky. Still hungry, he went out in search of a new meal. As luck would have it, sitting nearby on a bended reed, he saw an older but familiar-looking fly. Only a day and a half had passed, but the fly was all grown up. Again, the young frog crept towards him, and just as he was about to stick out his long red tongue and snap the fly up, the fly turned his head and said, "Friend Frog, I have not seen you in a very long time. How have you been?" "Friend Frog?" he repeated. "How have I been?" The young frog was flabbergasted. And yet the fly continued. "Frog, I'm a father now, and I worry about what kind of world I'm giving to my children. Things keep changing. What will happen if the stream gets smaller and dries up? Where will we go?" The young frog became worried. His life was changing really fast, turning from a pollywog into a frog. He didn't know what would change next. He forgot about eating and stayed awake all night long, worrying. On the third day, the young frog awoke to the rumble of his stomach. Another day had passed without food, but the young frog decided he was not going hungry again. He was going to eat that same tricky, still living fly from the days before. The young frog swam for hours and hours, looking at every fly he came across. He grew tired and wanted to give up, but he was determined. And just as the sun was setting across the sky, he noticed a rather old, familiar-looking fly. The young frog went straight up to him. He looked into his wide eyes and said, "Because of you and your questions, I've gone hungry. 2 days I had no food, but now I understand. I learned a lot about the world when I was little, and I don't know what will happen in the future, but I know I will be happy if I remember how curious I was as a pollywog, and if I keep learning as a frog. But first things first." With the last rays of the sun leaving the sky, the young frog looked at his friend, remembering the childlike fly sitting on a stone and the adult resting on a reed. The fly smiled, knowing he made a difference. Then the young frog stuck out his long red tongue and with a gravity-defying leap, snapped the fly up. With that, the frog continued his night.